Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another ladder story. Today we're featuring our favorite Artosis, who is spawned here in the top left in red. This is a Terran versus Zerg, and his opponent is Felakuti. I think I pronounced that correctly. He is spawned down here in the bottom left of Polypoid. We have a red versus blue because unfortunately Artosis spawned in brown. It's probably the only color that, particularly on Polypoid, because of the terrain, that if they do spawn in that color, I change it using the shift tab function, which is what I have chosen to do today. So by the looks of things, these two players know each other. There was a good luck message sent from Artosis right at the beginning of the replay opening with a good luck have fun from our Zerg. So a friendly game, unlikely to be a salty game, probably going to be played in good spirits, which is what you like to see. So that's good. No problems or dramas with that at all. So some more Artosis action for you to look forward to today. Another Terran versus Zerg. Some recent fun ones. We've seen him introducing battle cruisers. We even had one where he did nukes, which I thought was just unreal. It didn't, sadly the nuke did just whiff, but but anyway, it was pretty cool to see him try. So if you're excited for another Artosis replay, please do hit that like button. I'm on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you are someone who watches my content on a semi-regular basis, please do. It'll just help me achieve that goal, which is very, very much appreciated. So Artosis continuing this trend of the forward racks double depot. It is a little bit double-edged knife because the Mutalisks are able to pick off at least the depot at the front and sometimes the second one, and that can cause some supply block challenges. So that's probably the only thing in terms of this build that can be a little bit painful, but other than that, it's being used incredibly often and effectively. I'm not convinced about the spawning pool placement. I've seen people say, nope, this is the place to put it. I'm not sure. I mean, is this more efficient? They're turning and they're turning again, they're turning and they're turning again, as opposed to a straight line. You tell me. There are some people that understand these technical times to fetch and gather and return in this game. I don't know the nuances that well. Ironically enough, probably someone like Artosis would, and I'm not going to ask him about his own game. And even if I did, he probably wouldn't answer me. So yeah, it's weekend when I'm recording today. It is Friday the 13th, guys. So get your superstitions out and all those good things. What a crazy day it's been. Dramas purchasing the house. The house has got asbestos in it. Now we got to see what the lawyers say. It's a whole freaking drama, but not going to bore you guys with that. Was asked to do jury duty, which I thought was hysterical. I've been a citizen for less than 6 months, and in like my very, very first year, fresh year as an Australian citizen, I've been selected for jury duty, and it's ridiculous. Like they pay you basically nothing. You have to, and your employer has to pay you by law. But I am self-employed, so it's I probably am at a bit of an exception. But I'm just wondering, for those who, like in the States, where jury duty has been a long-established thing, how do you compensate jurors for the time off, especially if it's these long murder trials and stuff like that? I'm super curious to know. So if anyone's happy to leave me a comment or just tell me how that works, I would really appreciate it, because I just have a thirst for knowledge. I love to know how things work. So Artosis' scouting probe is very, very far away from being able to gather any useful intel, and he's now also very, very dead. But on the plus side, our Zerg is just opening standard with Spire. I must say Polypoid really does lend itself to nice macro games. It's just my favorite map for a whole heap of reasons. And I think it lends itself to some nice balanced matches, particularly in Terran versus Zerg, but in all the matchups really. And we should see a pretty fun game here as well. So RT moving out. I don't think this is to try and kill the Zerg. I think he does have some lings that he wants to try and show this little bio ball to force out 1 or 2 sunkens, and then he will probably go back, and that's pretty much job done. Also heard the scanner go off, so he can confirm that it's Spire, and he knows exactly what he's up against. So In the retreat, some speedlings are pursuing the Marines. The fire bat is back. I must say, I'm loving the fire bat. Ironically enough, Toggles, who I've come to learn is a player that Artosis doesn't think anything of or rate at all, loves to use fire bats, so it's very, very fun to see our friend Artie using them as well. Okay, so we can safely lift off. We feel like we have enough units here to protect against any lings. We also know that we should be expecting Mutalisk because we've scanned for it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 turrets, possibly with some more to come, depending on how our stack takes shape. So this is a lonely turret over here. Nothing on the back end. So it looks like he's going to get some damage done. Does pick off the SCV that was making that depot at the back. Picks off a couple of these gas SCVs as well. RT does rotate around some units to chase away the mutas, and would probably be well served keeping them in his main, assuming he has sufficient turret coverage. There we go. That was a bit of a tongue twister. In the natural. So coming from this angle, or this angle is a bit trickier. So he's going to show this to us now. Yeah, so I think it's just a little bit more difficult to micro over this ledge than it is anywhere else. He could split his forces. It looks like he's just moving all of them one way and all of them the other. Maybe splitting could work, maybe not, because then there is enough critical mass to engage the mutas if he does choose to try and take the engagement. But this single turret here seems to be a bit of a vulnerability. Perhaps 2 turrets here would be a little bit of a better way to go, because once again we are losing workers to the Mutalisk harassment. And I expect that our Zerg will expand to the other main base behind the map control that this muta harassment is affording him. Remaking the same turret, but not making any more for the time being. If he kills this turret one more time, although the units are here, so I don't think it'll happen. Let's see. Nope. Okay. So that seems to be the end of our Mutalisk harassment. We are already making a starboard. So this is a very, very quick SK Terran. Obviously you want to get your irradiate and your vessel out as soon as possible, because the impact that makes on the game for you as a Terran player is just absolutely massive. There's heaps of turrets here. I don't think he's going to get any damage done. All that the mutas and the Zerg are trying to do is buy time to get this third base up before Lurkers comes in. Lurker aspect is on the way. Hydras are just tootling across the map to protect that position. So I think all of the ingredients for a macro game are here. We can see the logical and clear transition for our Zerg, and we can also see Artosis moving into SK Terran tech. He's got an eBay going here, so he's getting his upgrades. So this could be fun. Sadly, RT is not a Valkyrie player. Sticks very much to SK Terran almost 100% of the time. But as a result of that, it's a build and a style that he plays very, very well. Alright, looks like it's time for us to potentially move out onto the map. I'll be curious to see how Artosis is targeting expansion here. If he wants to try and get some map presence and expand behind it, or if he simply just wants to move a pot of units around here and then just expand right away. Both, I think, would be pretty feasible options, especially once the vessel is out, because then lurkers become much less of a threat. Still just looks like he's using lurkers in a defensive way now. So siege mode is on the way as well, so there are going to be some tanks mixed into his blend. Don't see that too often from Marty, actually. The tank support. It is a very, very cool way to modify the SK Terran slightly. It's great to break down the lurkers. It's also great to break down the sunken and the static defense, which, by the way, he never converted these to sunkens, interestingly enough. The radiator's on the way. Upgrading infantry defense also on the way. Vessel has arrived. So big build up to what is looking like our first meaningful engagements here. I hope that he, no, okay, so he's got the vessel in the lead ahead. So should be able to pick off these lurkers pretty easily here. So he repositions his lurkers. Now a bigger stack of about 5 on the high ground. Queen's Nest already on the way, so it looks like a hive. Well, hive is already in play because we're getting adrenals. So very, very fast progression to hive, even though we have made lurkers. It looks like he's going to take the engagement here. This is a really, really juicy fight. Vessel's giving us all the viewing we need. We just need a decent spread on our marines. We still have around 3 lurkers left here, and most of the bio has died. My god, spines. Spines are where marines go to die. That was a very, very fun trade. Artosis has quite a commanding lead here. It's about 20 ahead in supply. So perhaps the name of the game would be to try and pressure this base out here. It's a long, long, long way away though. And of course the reinforcing nidus is the main difference maker there. We'll go back to a more normal view. I was just enjoying those juicy, juicy spines. Okay, so what does our tech tree look like? We've got defilers. We've got another Evo chamber to go double upgrade. We're not doing Ultraless Cavern yet. That's definitely something we could expect. We're now going up to a 4th base, sending a few lurkers across here to protect this position. This little exploratory mission, these little fellas here, very unlikely that they're going to go home. RT's also moving out. We can see another big pot of red over here. We will change our camera position as soon as that engagement happens. Does he get a drone? Okay, so we have a fight coming in here behind Dark Swarm. Artosis has to reposition his units. A couple of tanks with this. These guys are still going strong. Oh, sadly, they're over now. Okay, so RT has moved down and looks like he wants to pressure this position. But with the Defiler coming in here, does definitely make breaking this more difficult. I sent a couple of sort of intercepting lurkers into the pathing of the reinforcing units, and now RT seems to be quite keen on chasing these. Definitely taxing his APM if he wants to manage and micro this and manage this, which I think his plan is to siege up and fire on the lurkers, and then when he's punched a hole, then take this down. Oh, doesn't lose the vessel. Here we go. So decides to pounce here. Picks off the Scourge as well, which is a real bonus. Does throw down the Dark Swarm. Lurkers are now under Dark Swarm, so his response time there was really, really sharp. That was nicely done. We're also having a little fight up here. So these lurkers and these marines are kind of just staring at each other, which is hilarious. More lurker spines though. Firing on lurkers under Dark Swarm. Not very, very helpful, but I think the tanks could get some decent work done here. More and more Defilers throwing down Dark Swarms, more and more lurkers burrowing under here, picking off the tanks that leave, and I think it's time for RT to retreat. These guys are still staring at each other. This is unreal. Hi, how are ya? Okay, so we do finally see what's happening here, and we're just chilling. Okay, well that's fun. We decide not to go any further here either. So, 3rd base up and running for Artosis. I think the plan now would be to clear off these lurkers with the radiates and then take a 4th and then go into a nice juicy macro ZVT with constant and very, very enjoyable battles to look forward to. Okay, so radiate number 1 has been done, and we could just do radiate number 2 or simply just move across the map and kill one lurker. One lurker shouldn't in theory do all that much damage. So the Marines do manage to protect that vessel. Alrighty, so as expected, 4th base is established, and the macro power for RT in this game is looking really, really solid. I do not like the chances of this vessel surviving, guys. Yeah. Okay, so we are establishing our 4th base, and RT is establishing his 4th base. So Conventional wisdom would tell us that our Zerg is probably a base behind in terms of where they need to be. Artie's got plenty of workers, good spread of saturation here. Obviously this is not yet established, but to be fair, neither is this. It's just being saturated now. So I would imagine our Zerg would have, excuse me, would have plans to expand again pretty soon, but may not have the luxury because Artosis is putting together quite a scary little strike force. His commitment to tanks was short-lived. He hasn't made any more. Meanwhile, our Zerg is making a queen, which I think is very interesting. I'd be curious to see what his intentions are with those queens. And here we have our vessels, and we are starting some irradiates. Two lurkers down already. Killing a couple of drones as well as he trips over their radiated units. So lost 3. Also a drop here. I really like this. So something else that Artie's been introducing into his ZVT in the mid and late games are these drops into these alternating mains, including firebats, of course. You cannot leave out the faithful firebat, guys. Firebats rock. Ah, the ultras have also arrived, so that's juicy. Scourge killing yet more science vessels. We have reloaded our drop, so this is drop 2.0, which also has a firebat in it. Yeehaw! Let's go. Alright, so lurkers under Dark Swarm, going to be difficult to break. I don't know if Artie's attention is yet, now it is. So temporarily it wasn't, but he's got it now. And he needs to try and figure out exactly the best way to apply pressure here. Just kind of got his units chilling here. There's no other big fights or dramas that I need to be aware of. This seems to be where everything is happening for the time being. Uh-oh. Oh, man, that could have tripped and caused all sorts of friendly fire problems, but thankfully, not too bad. Lurkers under Dark Swarm, though, man. Like, I think these Marines are just feeling really cornered. Loads up his dropships once more. A lot of cracklings, though. Flying in under Dark Swarm, but the Firebats trying to earn their money. More Scourge doing Scourgy things, and more vessels making dying noises. A couple of Marines do survive to get behind the drone line here. Medics doing God knows what. Just being painful and getting in the way. Meanwhile, another drop, this time behind the sort of natural of this base. Trying to get some Ultralisk in behind the mineral line here, but they're so big and clunky that Lurkers, I think, is going to be the name of the game. This, by the way, is turning into an absolute cracking game. Really nice responses. They're picking those units up and preserving them. So Ultras have tied it up here and behind here as well. Artie, with all that micro, has floated a fair amount of money, so that's probably the only comment I could make on that piece of play. Otherwise, excellently done. And I'm pretty sure he'll get his macro pumping up again quite soon. You can see we've got inactive barracks here. Really needs to get on top of that quick. But we are doing a drop, and I don't think this drop's going to go well. Yeah, not so good. Alrighty, so we are still not macroing. Nope. But we are attacking. Oof. So I think that's what I've mentioned before in games like this. I wish you could get more replay stats. Stuff like workers lost, science vessels made, science vessels lost. Those are all, if you're a Terran and you're playing SK Terran, they're like KPIs, right? It's to determine why the result of the game goes the way it goes. Suddenly our Zerg is almost level on supply, and things are looking a little more scary for RT. Some counterattacks here, Ultralisk coming in. There isn't really much to defend this, and I think Artosis' license to go out onto the map, particularly with plagued marine bio units, is becoming a bit more limited. So does send some units here to try and tackle these Ultralisks, and is going to need probably a few more, though the bunker here should make a big difference. Speed crackling is coming across the map. These units need to be sent somewhere to do something, as do this random pot of vultures. Because, yeah, we have not held, and we've got even more ultras coming across the map. Transfers his workers almost at the worst possible time, because we've now got all these workers that are under siege. and not that many units back here to try and defend this. So we've lost, oh man, almost all of our SCVs. There must be close to 12. These units are not engaging as well, they're just standing here. Now finally they do engage and picks off the first. Okay, so all the ultras are now gone. Only one Ling here remains. But our Zerg did do an extreme amount of damage. It's gone into a commanding supply and worker lead. And now is just sending out reams and reams and reams and reams of blue across the map. So once again coming in here to try and pressure this position. Does run into Fred the Firebat though. Don't mess with Firebats, man. It's just not done. So RT definitely being spread around here from pillar to post. Another base coming up here for our Zerg. And here as well. Definitely got the map control to continue to expand. And got the drone count as well that you can resaturate without needing to make any more workers. RT on the other hand is on 4 bases and has been on 4 bases for the last 7 or 8 minutes. Think he could do with a 5th. He could definitely do with having all of the money that he's currently got converted into units already. And also now, because of the harassment at this base and the number of workers he's lost, he probably needs to make a few more SCVs as well. So where do we go from here? Well, the name of the game for RT is he's got to kill bases of the Zerg. And I just don't know if he's got the critical mass to be able to do that. What sort of upgrades these units got? So they're all 3-3, right? So they're as strong as they can ever be. But I reckon our Zerg is literally spread everywhere. So where do you start? And of course, make sure that you don't... Ooh, those medics likely survive. Make sure that you don't spread yourself too thin and you've got nothing to defend against any counterattacks, right? That's the other thing. Okay, so we've got a conga line of units here that are just getting absolutely wrecked. They have not fired off a single shot until now. More than half of them died before firing a shot. And now they've kind of clumped up together. There's just such a critical massive ultra here. This Ling ultra is really, really strong. So every unit that was sent there is going to die, and not a very efficient trade at all. This base, though, has been identified and shut down. And that's got to be the name of the game. We're going to have to do that a few more times. Leaving some units here as well. So trying to play this difficult balancing act, right, between defending and attacking. And it is proving challenging. So here it does come our little militia force. And thinks it's going to pick up a few more drones here for sure. Doesn't have anything that you can actually... and the battle cruisers have arrived! Let's go! So Odi has done vultures, tanks, and now the battle cruisers too. Beautiful, man! So this hatchery also goes down. Meanwhile, the counter-attack of our Zerg, once again, just unrelenting pressure on this base, forcing RT to lift off. Knocks down the bunker. Lovely plague here. Got almost every unit. So these are just going to be absolutely shredded by these ultras. Meanwhile, RT moving down to pressure yet another base. But unfortunately for him, re-establishing this one is going to prove to be a big, big challenge. So our battle cruisers have arrived and just ate 4 scourges. So he is very red, but he is not dead. And one sunken here shouldn't prove to be too much of a challenge for these 5 3-3 Marines. But unfortunately with Ling support, the sunken does survive. And yeah, man, I don't see where RT goes from here. 142 plays 146. Does theoretically have more army units because he's got fewer workers. But trading efficiently against this composition is proving challenging. The battle cruisers though are a pretty cool touch. We're up to 3 now. We're making 3 more. So it is a big commitment to battle cruiser tech. Let's go. Hydras now. Not even fully upgraded Hydras. So this is a response here. He's having to get the range upgrade now at 25 minutes. But yeah, these battle cruisers are proving painful. Meanwhile, the other mining base, which was pretty much dead of RT, has been lifted off. But 3 more battle cruisers enter the fray. Ultras will fight against Marines all day. That's a battle that they want to have for sure. Tries to re-establish here, but once again, these Ultras are being a serious pain in the ass. And Even knocking down the front door, the natural, probably not going to achieve too much, but just trying to employ his ultras. Yep, they don't shoot up, but they sure can do some damage while they're alive. They are tanky boys. They can take a lot of hits. Unfortunately, Artosis is now moving into the 20s in terms of workers, so these lings are doing so much damage, and his economy is basically wrecked. He's got no mining bases at all. When these units all die, that's going to be it. It's over. So throwing a Hail Mary here at this bottom right base. The Hydras are fighting, but they're getting absolutely shredded, so supplies are even. What a crazy game. Artosis has got no workers, but the battle cruisers have proved to be such a masterstroke. Absolute difference maker in the game. The Hydras aren't doing much of anything. And is he going to pull this off? If he can kill this base and this base, that leaves our Zerg with one mining base versus Artosis having nothing. So it's still a bit of a long shot, but by no means is it over until it's over. It's predominantly drones that our Zerg has left. But Lurkers under Dark Swarm are shredding through these Marines. And that is unfortunately not good news if you're an Artosis fan. Lots of cracklings here as well, so it does pull back. Whew, we need to take a breath. It's crazy. So we're pressuring here as well with some vultures. These drones are definitely a valuable target. And Artie's sending down what units he has there. A lot of medics in amongst this little Marine pod. Still probably just has enough econ at this stage. Even with our trusty battle cruisers doing their thing. Artosis is not mining at all anymore. He's literally got 402 minerals and nothing less, nothing more. Dark swarming up a storm here. Medics just kind of strolling to their doom. And that's the end of the last battle cruiser, I dare say. I don't see any more on the map. So just confirming that he hasn't re-established here. So just basically seeing now, okay, here's our last two battle cruisers. And maybe just trying to see what he can do with these last couple of battle cruisers. But this is just going to be a bridge too far, I'm afraid. I think when this one is over, we'll pull the stats up on the game. Archie trying to do a bit of long distance mining with the SCVs that he's got left. Hoping that these... Yep, that Ling ain't gonna let you get away with that, man. Lings are aggro dudes. Alright, so final stand from Artie. Tries to target down this lurker. Dark Swarm once again. The Dark Swarm's from the Zerg, and his general application of Hive Tech with Plague has been outstanding. His Ultra Link composition was really, really good. I love the switch into battle cruisers from Artosis. I thought it was really well timed, really well executed. Basically, just came down to simple macro. Our Zerg was able to deny and shut down bases, and so Artie was not able to continue to reinforce, and as such, he was able to pull ahead and then basically stay ahead. But a very, very enjoyable game. I'm glad it was played in really good spirits. Oh, we're even getting a Yamato cannon. That's cool to see. And just another cracking macro game on Polypoid, man. It's just a really, really good map. Both players gave a wonderful account of themselves. And I really, really did enjoy this game. We'll wait for it to wrap up and we'll check the stats momentarily. So it does give a respectful GG, and that was really, really cool. Let's have a quick look at the stats before we wrap. We'll just be curious to see what the resources picture looked like. So much more minerals, much more gas, and yeah, this was just too much of an insurmountable deficit from a basis point of view. Really, really fun game. As I mentioned before, guys, on a mission to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year. So if you haven't subbed yet, please do. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending some time with me today. I will be back again very soon. And until next time, you take it easy.